BulkLoads Podcast, your number one resource for everything bulk freight trucking.
Alright, that's the content.
Hey guys, welcome to the BulkLoads Podcast. I'm Tyler and I got Larry with me today.
What's up, Tyler?
What's going on?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I can't believe it's 2025 already. It seems
here.
like, I've always heard like whenever you have kids, time just flies by, and I really felt that this past year.
Oh, yeah.
It was just... Yeah, and so I'm not looking forward to that just happening every year, like everything just flying by. Like I can't believe my boy's 4 years old already, and my youngest one just turned 1. It's just a shock to me.
Yeah, every couple of months they keep growing, and it's like the milestones.
Yeah.
They just start hitting.
It's like, what's happening?
Every New Year, man, I say the same thing. I can't believe the year's over. I can't believe it's starting a new one.
Last night I actually sat down with a journal and wrote down my goals, and I did it kind of different this year, where I wrote like actionable steps of how to get but hopefully I can stick to them better this year.
Yeah.
With journaling and a couple other things. Did you set any this year?
I haven't yet. I do plan on doing it. Last year I was really consistent for about 7 months, and then it fell off pretty drastically.
Yeah, I was the same way. Yeah.
But looking for more consistency this year for sure. And I think we'll probably, we'll do all of the BulkLoads companies' goals for the years. That's coming up here in January, and then also do some personal ones.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
It's always fun to look back and reflect on them every year.
Yeah. Well, we definitely recommend setting goals. Whether you're a company driver, owner, operator, you own a business, it can help you out. We have some podcasts on goal setting that Jared's done in the past, so check those out. But also, we want to hear your goals. So if you drop down in the comments, write just one goal that you're trying to accomplish this year, and we'd love to see them. Other than that, we'll jump into the truck feature right here. We got Brian Vaughn with E.C. Whitley out of Franklin, Virginia there. He's been a BulkLoads member since 2014. So,
wow.
Going over 10 years. So Brian, thank you so much for sending this in and just trusting us over the years in being one of our members. But this rig is sharp.
Yeah, I love it.
Nothing too fancy going on, but it's just that classic, like it's one of those rigs that's going down the road and you're just like, that's nice.
Black and chrome, man.
Yep.
It's pretty tough to beat that. Just the classic black and chrome. It looks sharp. I love it.
Yep. Peterbilt. It's a good looking truck. Well, today, that's a good segue into our podcast today. Today, we bring on Rhett Roberson with Rush Truck Centers here out of Springfield, Missouri. And Larry, you have a pretty strong connection with Rhett.
Yeah,
you guys go back a little bit.
Yeah, we go back to my C.H. Robinson days. So Rhett was with a produce broker in the area, and I reached out as a C.H. Robinson sales guy, and we got to know each other and did some business together, brokering some produce back and forth. So that was fun. And then, we've both been in transportation. Rhett was at Prime for a long time. And so he's got some good insight there. And so, we've just kind of gone back and forth. We've both stayed in logistics for a long time. A lot of people don't know this, and I don't know if they talk about it on the podcast, but Rhett is actually a famous musician.
Really?
And actually won a country star event. And so that's super cool. And so a lot of like local artists know him, and he's a cool guy. What I didn't know about Rhett when he went over to Rush, I didn't know a lot about Rush. And so it's been cool to see Rhett go over there because obviously I've called him and we've picked his brain on, what does Rush do? I drive past it all the time in Springfield, but I've never actually been in there. So we actually got to go do a tour. Yep. And so that was, it was cool. Yeah,
I didn't, he did kind of mention the country singer thing in the end, but he didn't really dive deep into that, but that's super cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. Rhett's a great guy.
We should have had him sing a little.
Rhett's also, he for a long time kind of helped start the Springfield Motor Carriers Association. And so that's been fun to watch him, but he's always been a guy that's been well connected in the transportation space in the Springfield area. And so that's always fun when we get somebody that is really passionate about what they do and kind of help bring other sects together. Yeah.
And he does a good job of just explaining what Rush does. Like you said, I had no idea what they do either, really. Or I guess I knew they were a dealership, but I didn't know the extent and how big they were. He said they got 140 locations across the country. But he does a good job of explaining what they do. And then stay till the end because he goes into leadership and what he thinks about leadership and the things that he does himself to execute and lead a team, and it's really insightful. So without further ado, here is Rhett with Rush Truck Centers.
Rhett, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to finally get to do this.
Yeah, local 417er. We've got to know each other over the past couple of years, which has been an honor. You're a fellow podcaster as well.
Yeah, I don't know if mine counts as a podcast. I've gone for the written medium. I've gone backwards, where you have gone forwards clearly, and turned this into a whole nice thing. I take all of the audio, just listen to it myself, and type it into LinkedIn.
So Rhett did this 52 Cups of Coffee is what it's called. And you did a podcast every week for the whole year of 2024.
Yeah, still got a few more to go.
Are you going to continue that for 2020? Are you going to do 52 Cups for?
It's an amazing experience. But as you know, this is it's a commitment to put a lot of content out. So I'm definitely going to not do a weekly one. But if they come up, maybe I'll do something monthly or at least quarterly. I don't know, but I probably should have done it just as a podcast, like you're doing it here, because I'll take all the audio and then I have to listen back to it and edit down the way we speak. We say, but, and, so I got to take all that out of there, and that takes twice as long as it took just to interview. And so it was much more of a time commitment than I expected. So I'll probably slow it down. I'd like to really consolidate it down and pull the major themes, because I talked to some really interesting folks and learned a lot. It almost felt like mentoring by, it was like speed mentoring throughout the year, like an hour at a time. But I think there are valuable themes in that people could get something out of. And it really represents our area, 417 area, really well, and shows how many great people we have around this local area.
It's amazing when you're talking to people how you really get so much out of it yourself by bringing them on the show, interview them. I always say a lot of times, like selfishly, like, man, this is benefiting me just as much as our audience listening to this. But you were with Christensen Transportation. Actually, we've had several. Steve Perryman's been on. Barry has been on, the safety guy, especially since it's been cool since they're here local to come on into the studio, and they have a vast, years of experience and wisdom that they've been able to share on the show, which has been awesome. You were there, but you've changed gears over the past few months and are with Rush. And I quite frankly, I've heard the name and really didn't know anything about it, because I was like, I knew that there was something with parts, maybe something with sales, maybe something with service, but like had no idea. So that's why I wanted you to just high level break down who Rush is overall. But yeah, I guess we'll start with that. And I know you're still a newbie there, and you've taken over the dealership here locally, but high level for those that have no idea who Rush is, or maybe you've seen it on the side of the road. Talk about that, who they are. Yeah.
You come running down 44 here in Springfield area. You're going to pass us coming down the highway. You'll see the big international badge out there. So our dealership is an international dealership. Rush, depending where you are in the country, is Peterbilt or international for the most part. And you said they're actually one of the largest. Or the largest Peterbilt dealership, which the 417ers here know that. Yeah, TLG Group down the street. Yeah, they've got it here. So Rush actually came into the Springfield area 3 years ago. For people around here that would know it, maybe not everybody who listens, but we had Diamond before, which was international. Diamond because of the logo, of course. Summit came after that, and then Rush took over from Summit 3 years ago. So Rush is, I guess, relatively new to this area, but Rush is celebrating, I hope I get this right, I think it's the 65th anniversary this year. And corporate is where? Corporate's in Texas. Okay. Yeah, so started down in that area, and it branched out and really been focusing on growth. And it's the largest dealer network in the country. So, between service, parts, and sales, there's really not a lot of places in the country that we can't touch, and it's great for us, even locally, to just have access to a massive parts network, a massive network to when you're dealing with a dealership there are, of course, pros and cons of the large and small different dealerships. It's great to have a direct line with your manufacturers, and so that's an advantage of Rush in my opinion. This, of course, is my first foray into the vendor side. A lot of my carrier friends were shocked and some appalled that I had left. I got plenty of messages that were like, I didn't see that coming, and honestly, neither did I. So it is a little bit of a jump for me, but it's been great. I haven't, I can't speak for the whole Rush network. Haven't been around enough to do that, but I can speak to my store, and we have just a really incredible staff, great technicians. I'm lucky to have, I thought I was coming into a full renovation, a full, kind of recreation of this place, but I walked in really lucky to have a really great team to work with. So I'm lucky in that regard.
I'm not a native of this area. I know you are, but I know you have also not been on this side of the business, but we have two of the largest highways that intersect down here. So this has become a big trucking hub, among some of these other cities. But I assume, because if we got, again, Larson Group, MHC, massive dealerships here, I assume this has got to be one of the key spots for truck sales, service, parts.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah, we've got some large carriers around here because of that. This is a convenient area to get to just about anywhere in the country. And for that reason, you've got a lot of dealership and a lot of part representation here, which makes it tough. There's a lot of competition, and those guys are good. TLG is good, MHC is good. And so it's exciting to have Rush in town now as a local. Not that, a lot of people really loved Summit, and Summit was good as well. But I think it's cool to have such a large network represented locally for those people that do have the internationals in their fleet. And, we do Isuzu, we're Cummins as well. So it's not that international is the only thing we work on, but, it's important to these larger carriers a lot of times to have some diversification in their the hoods that they put out on the road. And so, it's a tough market. There's a lot of business to be done here, but I think we all get along too. I see the TLG truck pull up to our warehouse. I see the MHC trucks pull up to our warehouse, and we do the same. We work against each other, but we work together as well. I go over on Friday mornings to Prime, and they've got their safety meeting, and I sit with the GM of TLG, and everyone gets along. We all know what the game is, and I think the area is better for having some great sales and service options here, and we're all better as dealerships because we can't get complacent. It's always grinding for the next thing.
We're talking about Prime, and I'm talking about over the road trucks.
Hey guys, we're getting ready to launch a new version of BulkLoads.com. Before you panic, hear us out. We actually have made some changes to enhance the load board. Now, again, there's going to be new features on there, and a lot of this is to make it more user-friendly, make it more efficient, and really to provide more features. As we've grown, we've added more features, and some of that we need to do different designs just to make the user experience better. But for you out there that don't like change, you will still be able to use the old version for a limited time. So we just want to give you a heads up on that. We know that sometimes change is difficult, but also we are in the business of improving our website software, giving you the best value for your service. So just want to give you a heads up. Look for a new version of BulkLoads coming soon. Again, you'll be able to use the old version, but man, we want you to be excited for this because we are doing this to help you out, to make the experience that much better, to make it that much more successful for you to find loads, trucks, and better for your business. So, man, I hope you enjoy this new version. As always, we always want to hear feedback, how we can improve it better, because again, we're here for you as our clients. So, man, just want to give you a heads up on this. God bless.
I guess in our industry on the bulk, you don't hear international mentioned much.
Sure.
It doesn't seem. But talk about who is your target audience, and are these large fleets, are they running multiple makes and models?
Yeah. And I think, you want to keep, especially at a large fleet, you want to keep a little bit of representation from each, so you can keep an idea of what's going on in the market. We want to talk a lot about, kind of the overall costs to operate the vehicle for the lifetime of the vehicle. And they're all watching that. They're watching that really close. It may be, you may be able to buy a more affordable truck on the front side, but do you end up paying more in the long run, And so I think they look at that type of thing. It's not lost on us that, especially in your business, the old long nose Pete is something that people love to have a look at, and that's why our buddies down the street at the Peterbilt dealership keep a bunch of them right on the highway there. So, but yeah, I think.
But I assume are most of the clients that you're dealing with, and it could be all over, and from what you've gathered, is it more those large fleets so that they're buying 50, 100 units at a time over the road, pulling vans? Are you dealing with dedicated contractor, contract haulers?
It's a whole mix. And the thing that's interesting about what we do, International holds a lot of the work truck market, like the municipal government stuff, dump trucks.
Yeah.
Of course,
you see the co-op trucks, and a lot of those are,
So we do a lot of work with the city and surrounding cities, with the counties, everyone in our area. But on the big truck side, we've got everything from your smaller carriers up to prime, and larger than that, of course, across the nation. There are plenty of very large fleets that are operating international to a large degree. It seems like the larger the fleet, the more likely they are to get into the internationals.
Okay.
International tends to be, a good cost of ownership across the life of the piece of equipment. So, you'll see when I see things like UPS. UPS runs a lot of internationals.
Although they don't take they take the name off, right? I think UPS is known for there's nothing visible showing the brand, make, or model of their equipment. But
they're
side note.
Yeah, but they're I think it's a good stretch of everything. We still have owner ops come onto the lot that want to look at used inventory. I get a lot of calls. I don't know if you're familiar with the old Lone Stars, but that was a nice international kind of went a direction trying to do a super flashy kind of looking front end truck. These long noses, these long grills.
Yeah. I do remember. Yeah, actually, I just saw one the other day on the highway. Yeah. They come out with that new if I'm thinking right,
it's been a while back now, but
kind of futuristic looking.
Yeah. When I remember when those first came out, I was like, that's cool. They're doing something cool. I never would have thought I would be on the international team, or that I would be again on the vendor side. So we get a lot of calls about those. And we don't have any on the lot anymore. They're kind of hard to find. So
people are demanding those. They want those.
Yeah, those.
And are they still? But they're not making them anymore.
No.
Or okay.
So it's all used market now.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know International. They had some issues, some motor issues, and I don't want to go in the weeds on that. But can you speak?
I wish you wouldn't.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. So. Yeah, and I think that's kind of an elephant in the room with International. Especially in our industry, people know that, you have these engine issues that come with these different platforms, and they happen to every one of us. It happens to Peterbilt. They have their recalls, and International, it's been over a decade now, really, with the MaxForce platform. They did have some, just some consistent issues, ended up being in the shop, had a lot of downtime. And so, International kind of went back to the drawing board, came out with the A26, A26 being a new platform, had some issues of its own, as they all do as new platforms. And I think as International moved through these engines, it's now a Volkswagen, all part of that Volkswagen conglomerate, or under that umbrella. So they've started teaming up with.
Is that who International is owned by? Volkswagen?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And so this new engine platform that's just now hitting the road, Prime's getting a handful of them delivered next month, was a combination of engineering with our partners in Europe, and they've been running lots and lots of miles over there. So kind of tested prior to hitting the road in the United States. And so we're all really excited about that, and, taking your bumps and bruises, but you learn from them and come along with a better product down the line that we can trust a little bit. We've put a lot in that basket. We're excited to see them hit the ground and start getting some real data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I think of international, I'm thinking of the sleek look, over the road, pulling a van, reefer, flatbed.
Yeah.
But there is a model, and I'm not aware of this, but you were explaining this. There is a kind of a classic look model that when you put a sleeper with it, it's a pretty truck.
Yeah.
And we were looking at just images of that a while ago.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
I think a lot of people don't know that you can get the HX in a sleeper.
HX?
The HX is, it's a cool looking truck, but it's primarily like a work truck platform. You see a lot more of those HX trucks in,
like utility trucks or concrete trucks or more.
But when they do the sleeper model, of course you got the dual stacks and all that, the chrome and the whole works. It's interesting. And I'm surprised that, more folks don't end up seeing those out there. We don't take more orders for those. But it is a cool looking truck. If they'd let me carry some inventory of that, I would
get some ordered.
I need to do that this next year.
Might be a little flashier from the highway.
Yeah.
Might attract more people.
We got that one ramp down there at the end. Just need to put an HX sleeper up there on that ramp.
Yeah. I want to kind of pivot and talk about service, because you being the GM, you're over all of this. Service is crazy huge in our industry.
Yeah.
You have to, it's part of running a trucking business, but also a trucking dealership to service those.
Yeah.
Can you just talk about that process? Because, and I hear these horror stories from owner ops that, and I know maybe it's gotten better, but especially when it was busy, that sometimes they send a truck in, and it could be days, if not weeks, especially for a small company that they don't have backups.
Right.
That truck has lost revenue every day. But high level, how do you all manage that to ensure that you're doing the best job for the customer?
Yeah. I think that's another advantage of taking this move over from the trucking side is,
you live and breathe it on that side.
I know what it costs, and I know that every one of our clients out there has a number in their head for when that truck's down, what it costs them that day, whether that's missed revenue or paying for a hotel for some of these guys, for the drivers, or whatever that may be. Every day down costs, and they know what that cost is, and I'm really aware of the urgency behind that, and so I'm really trying to run our service department as a carrier side representative to some degree.
That's awesome.
Again, the advantages of Rush being as big as it is, we just have a lot of technological advantages. Our Service Connect platform, whenever we bring trucks in, not only do we have an initial check-in process that's supposed to be really quick to at least get you a diagnosis and an idea of what we think's wrong. You're going to get constant updates all the time. Automatic updates as we log new things into the system. If we have to order parts, you're going to see when those parts are ordered, when they're meant to come in, and just constant communication of when you can expect it. Beyond that, Rush is really serious about watching our dwell time. So we get graded on how long we work on trucks. So we don't want your trucks in any longer than you want them in, really. And we don't get paid till the job's done either. So there is that advantage. But I think, knowing what it costs our carriers and knowing how important that is, and knowing right now how tough this market is, that one day off the road can be the difference between making the note on the truck this month or not. It's really important to me, because I've always been an advocate for the trucking and for the driver, really. I've spent a lot of time with Missouri Trucking Association up in Jeff City. I've spent time in Washington, D.C. with American Trucking Associations. That the life of a driver and the sacrifice of a driver and what it takes to be out there and be successful as a driver is something that I don't think people really understand a lot of the time. And so I'm constantly harping on my team. I'm sending emails saying like, I'll give you a good review instead of a negative situation. Our marketing team always lets us know when we get a good Google review, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got a great Google review last week, and I sent it out to the whole team, the whole Springfield location, and just said like, this is an owner operator. This is one person with one truck, right? Like, you got this in here, you got it done. She'd been having issues. She came from Indiana, brought it down to us, had issues at a different dealership, brought it to us. We got it diagnosed and fixed in like 2.5 days or something like that. She'd been having this issue forever. And just what I told the team was like, this is more than just you guys doing your job. It's more than checking a truck in and doing diag and then ordering your parts and getting it put together. Like, we don't know her specific story, but it's Christmas time, right? You guys got her back down the road. You guys got her paid for another load this week. And the truck's more dependable than it was when it came to us. And so, like, you might have put dinner on the table. You might have put presents in the stockings, or, like, she did the work. She put the stuff on the table. But
no, I know 100% what you're saying.
That's the kind of stuff that resonates with me, that like, this is important work. It's not just shop work. It's not just order. It's not just turns of inventory,
that'd make an excellent commercial if you put that together and ran it up to corporate.
I'll let corporate know. I'll clip this and send it out.
Well, I got one last question on what are the, like, just in your short term there, what's the most common shop work being done? I mean, I'm not talking specific to international, but like trucks coming in, getting worked on. What typically is the most reoccurring theme that you see?
Man, those guys do everything. I mean, it's everything from your PMs, but you find wheel seals and, turbos go out regularly. We flip a lot of turbos out, a lot of changing injectors. I don't know. I have such a
lot of recall, a lot of warranty stuff.
Oh yeah, sure. And coming from, our buddies up the road at Prime, we're literally like, you can back road it over to Prime, right?
That's right.
They're 4 or 5 minutes away. All the stuff that they buy, they keep under warranty. So, and they have their own shop. So they'll do a lot of the stuff themselves. And if it's warranty work, they'll send it to us. So we do, if we see a Prime in the shop, it's almost always warranty work. So
yeah,
a lot of warranty work. But they'll do everything, and it's not just internationals over there. Like I said, we're able to do Cummins as well. So, I know we're going to have a Kenworth in the shop. We're going to have a Peterbilt in the shop. It just kind of depends, because a lot of our customers, it's easier for them to go to one place. And I'm sure that TLG sees the same thing. And I'm sure that MHC sees the same things. So it's nice to be able to do that Cummins work too. And, so it's hard to say what one thing they're going to do.
Yeah.
They may have a whole front end ripped out of a truck for a couple of days, or they might be replacing brakes. So little of this, little of that. Yeah. Whatever it takes to keep them on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to, again, pivot one other spot, because I think this is where your strength is, if I could be so blunt. We've known each other a little bit now, but I know your story coming, working at Prime for a while. You worked even for a shipping company. You've been at Christians to see that side, but I think you've really seen overall this broader picture of organizational behavior, how to run solid teams. Yeah. And I want you to speak of that, because again, we have a lot of owners, a lot of business owners running this. They're dispatching drivers, employees, and all that. And I think sometimes you think that you lead just by, example, and it comes natural, but there's a lot of this stuff that you have to learn about and discipline, because it's not about just the paycheck. It's about working for the mission, the purpose, and all that. Yeah. And I know we can probably camp out on this for an hour, but I just want to talk for the next 15 minutes before we close out of there, because I think that's super valuable for our listeners, especially as we're starting off the new year here. If there's ways that you can improve in the organization to motivate people, get people excited, keep people on, reduce trucker, employee churn, people leaving. But you've done research on that. So I'm going to stop there. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. When I was at Prime, I got really interested in these kind of culture leaning discussions. and this was a personal thing. You know, I was kind of going down a rabbit hole of, maybe I was having like a quarter life crisis at the time. But going down a rabbit hole of what motivates people to be at work, what motivates people to do work at all. Why do we come to the office? Why would we come to the office and work 40 hours a week? It's something
What sparked that?
makes us miserable. That may be too deep for this discussion, but I'll just throw it out there and you can edit it out if you want to. My middle brother passed away in 2013. And I think I was just kind of on a little bit of I'd also been traveling, playing country music for several years, and that was still kind of all in that same space. But as I decided to come back to my professional career, and I had gone through this loss, I guess I was just in a place of like, I need to kind of figure out why of all of it. Why am I doing any of it? And so, like, what brings, part of this 52 cups of coffee, you know, the second question I ask people, what brings you joy? And I thought at that point, what brings me joy? How can I find joy in this and this and this? Not every job's going to be, not all of us are going to get to go to work every day and be like, this is what I'm most passionate about, you know? And so my why is about people. My why is about that the people I interact with come away better for it. And I slowly went down this path of like, where do you find that happiness? Where do you find that joy? That led me to industrial organizational psychology. I went and got a master's because I wanted to get the real nuts and bolts behind it. You know, like what does the research say about what makes people happy to come to work? Or if not happy, at least like engaged and not miserable.
Real quick, did you have a goal in mind of like, besides learning, like what were you going to do with this?
Well, I was working at Prime at the time, and I thought like maybe Prime would like to have a IO psych guy on staff, you know? And the more I thought about it, the more I thought about my why, my personal why, which is to help people. I thought, well, I could have a wider effect on the general market if I could do some consulting. So I don't know that where I ended up was where I thought I was going from the beginning, which is probably a through line for all of our stories. But yeah, I did end up getting to do some kind of leadership training, some discussion about culture. And that's what's really important to me. I mean, it's not lost on me that I wasn't a service guy before I came to Rush. And that's what we do, you know? But I did know trucking, and I knew that I could come in and lead a team and create an environment that people wanted to be a part of. And I think that's it for me. It was a challenge, a leadership challenge for me.
Talk about that though, because I mean, what is something surprising that you found out doing that research? Again, you for a while even had your own company teaching this to organizations that could bring you in to reduce, again, all of the above, to create better teams. But like what was surprising you found out about companies, or what maybe companies aren't doing that they probably should be doing? Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of it is about transparency. A lot of it is about self-work too. I've got to concentrate on me being a better leader before anyone else is going to jump on board, you know? But you got to have conversations with people. And I don't think we have enough conversations with people, with our employees. I don't think we spend enough time asking people how we can help them. We spend a lot of time directing, and we don't spend enough time asking. Because honestly, if we're doing a good job of hiring, if you and I are picking the right people for the positions, we shouldn't have to be doing a lot of too much directing. You got to teach, right? But like, if I'm confident I've hired the right person, well, I should be able to just ask them, what do I need to get out of your way so you can do your job, right? What am I missing? Because I'm not in the day-to-day. And I have issues. Of course, I'm going to have a ton of them at Rush, as I've been there for 3 months, that I really need to see what they're experiencing and ask them what they're experiencing. Because if I come in and tell them how to do it when they've been doing this for, you know, years in some cases.
Been there before you have.
Yeah. But how much are they going to lose faith in me immediately, right? So I need to ask a lot of questions. And I think that's what we don't understand enough, is that leadership is more about questions than it is about giving directives.
Yeah, I'll chime in real quick. We just finished year-end reviews, and it's always surprising what you hear. And so many times in these reviews, I said to myself, I'm like, I wish I would have known this months ago.
Right.
But then I think deeper about it. It's like, I should have been asking that months ago. You know, a lot of times I'm like, man, why didn't you come back and tell me that this was going on, or you wish this would have happened, or whatever the case would have been. But then, like you said, it's like, I wish I probably would have just took the time to ask those questions. And then we wouldn't be 4 or 5 months down the road, and maybe that issue could have been solved, or it wouldn't have been compounding or weighing on that person's mind or heart.
Yeah, I think it's a twofold thing there, right? Like, you have to set up a framework by which you are regularly engaging, but you also have to set a culture that people are comfortable bringing those things to you, right? And Dr. Amy Edmondson wrote a book called The Fearless Organization. And Dr. Edmondson teaches at Harvard. I think she's still at Harvard. She was when she wrote the book. And so I got certified in a tool that she created. It's called the Fearless Organization Scan. It's a 7-question tool. That's it. Seven quick questions that you give to the whole group. And you use those scores to kind of run people through leadership engagement. And it really creates the opportunity to have discussion around how comfortable we are at work with hard things, how comfortable I am coming to you when I have an issue, or am I afraid that you don't want to hear it? And I think that's one of the worst things as a leader, that people don't bring us as leaders the real issues because they're afraid of how we'll react to them, or they're afraid, maybe it's a personal thing. They're afraid that we'll think less of them. Mm-hmm. I think the most important thing you can do is create a culture in which people are allowed to bring stuff up and not feel dumb for doing it, or not feel like they're going to be chastised for doing it.
Yeah.
Because if you find out about those things right now, rather than 6 months down the line, we haven't deviated course as much, you know?
Yeah.
At month 1, if we're off by 1 degree, it's not so bad. But at month 6, if we've been off by 1 degree, we've come significantly off course. So
do you still, I mean, obviously your role, you're going to be involved in that, but like, do you still study or research?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I wouldn't call it research. It's not academic research, certainly. I just read a lot. I'm just so interested in, it weighs heavy on me to lead a team and be good at it. A lot of responsibility there for a lot of, I always want to be the leader that I wish that I had.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be the person for people that I could have used at one point.
Yeah.
And I just take that really seriously, that I'm constantly trying to grow my skill set or grow my perspective on what it means to lead people. So
I guess I always look at, when I go back, when I'm thinking about leadership, and I always look at the managers, coaches, bosses that I had, and had phenomenal ones, but I always look at what I wish they would have done or changed different, you know, whether it was honestly asking more questions, being more open, giving more feedback.
Yeah.
As I grown. But yeah, it's interesting. I think if I could sum all that up, I think everybody knows it's important, but people know that it also requires extra steps, extra work, extra calories, and a little bit of vulnerability, I think, to really go to that level. And are they willing to do that to get a better outcome for the organization and the people involved? Yeah.
That's, you know, Brene Brown does a good job. Another book plug to talk about vulnerability, not as a weakness, you know, but really as what vulnerability offers us by way of strength as leaders, by way of getting this information that we need. It's really easy to get in your office as a leader and have all the bad news miss your office, you know?
Yeah.
Really easy. And that's a really detrimental thing to an organization. So,
yeah. Well, I just want to bring that up. I know that's another part of your story. An important part of your story is you become a leader and grown, but now it's probably old news now, but congratulations on your new role. We'll put the links to Rhett's information, contact information, especially down here. And I'm sure wherever you're at in the country, he can still point you to other dealerships if it works better.
Yeah.
So definitely reach out to them. But man, buddy, thank you for coming on the show. I think we're going to see you at the conference here in a couple months.
Yeah.
So you'll be there. You'll be able to see Rhett if you come to the conference. So man, thank you so much. Appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yep.
Well, Larry, I didn't know the mass parts department that they have.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's really cool, especially down here, just because Springfield, Missouri is just a great trucking hub. And I think a lot of people don't even know that. I didn't know that before I moved here. But, you got the two major highways, 44, 65, and you even got, 13. But it's just a perfect spot. And I didn't know how new Rush was to the Springfield area. Even. So that was shocking to me, what Rhett was talking about. But it's cool that what they're doing, and, they're going to be coming at our conference in Branson, April 16th to the 18th, the Bulk Freight Conference. And I think it's going to be really cool for them to come and let everybody know what they're doing. Maybe they can do tours at their center as well. But it's going to be cool to include them. I think they're even wanting to sponsor it, so hopefully we can make that happen.
Awesome.
But so you guys talking about the conference, you can go to bulkfreightconference.com. You can get your tickets today. They are selling out quick, but make sure to view the agenda, book your hotel rooms. We are just a few months away.
Yeah, it's crazy to think we're 3 months out.
Yeah.
Now's the time to start booking it and start planning, all this stuff you want to see in Branson while you're there. And good time.
Now's the time. I didn't really feel a whole lot of stress. And then it's like, we come back from Christmas break and it's like, oh my gosh, this thing is really a couple months away. So it's like, it's fully on. Yeah, it's go time now.
It's go time. Get your tickets. We've definitely seen an uptick in people buying tickets, it seems like, here recently. I think once we kind of got through the holidays and everyone's starting to look and plan for that first quarter. Yeah. So it's been fun to watch.
And speaking at the conference, one of the things that you're going to be doing there is, doing an insurance panel, but actually kind of a workshop as well. And that's one of the things that a lot of people said that they liked last year was the insurance panel, and just having the underwriters on the stage and hearing, why they write some accounts, why they deny some, and what they really look for. So I think that's going to be really beneficial.
Yeah.
If you have any,
insurance underwriters tend to be pretty dry. I think last year, there was a point where I was asking questions and I was like, man, these guys, no wonder they deny so many accounts, man. Their brains work differently. And so it's fun to kind of analyze, what makes a good underwriter. Why does one truck guy over here, why are they paying 10 grand a year? And why is this guy paying 5 grand a year? Right. What's the difference?
Yeah.
This year, definitely want to have a little bit more emphasis on safety scores and CSA scores, cab reports. And so we're going to bring in some really qualified speakers to talk about how they analyze a cab report and then how they translate it into actual premium that's owed. So that's going to be something that's going to be really interesting. Yeah. I think every carrier can probably benefit from trying to understand their cab report. Yeah. So we'll get that going. And then, insurance has been a whirlwind, man. I can't believe we're coming up on our 3-year anniversary in June this year. And so we keep growing and we keep adding more and more tools and resources. Something that we're really excited about is we've signed contracts with 2 more direct markets already in 2025 that do a lot of trucking business. And so that'll give us more tools and more options for our motor carriers. And that's the name of the game. So it'll be really fun to see what 2025 does on the insurance group.
Speaking of insurance, we just released a tool on our insurance tab not too long ago. It's an insurance calculator pretty much. And it seems like a lot of guys are loving using that. We kind of push this out simply because, a lot of people, they want to know, can you guys actually do something for me before I spend all this time submitting all my paperwork? It's just a hassle trying to get a quote. And it's like, if I spend all this time, you can't even, save me any money or anything like that, then I just wasted my time. Right. Well, we came out with this calculator to basically, based on our data that we have now, the accounts that we've written, it'll basically tell you like, hey, we have a 90% chance of saving you money on your account. And we've seen a lot of people have been using that.
Yeah, it's crazy. We've had over 500 people check it and see if there's an option. I think one thing to think about too on that calculator is, it's only as good as the data you put in. Yep. So where we see the numbers get a little shaky is if somebody maybe misrepresents the amount of premium they're paying per truck. There's no way for us to adequately calculate a percentage of if we can win their business or not. But if you go to it, you fill it out accurately, we're going to give you may get a 5% chance that we can get a better quote. And then maybe it doesn't make sense for us to look at it. But what we see a lot of times is we're generally in that 50 to 100% range.
Yeah.
So it totally just depends. There's a lot of factors, but it gives you a really good base insight of, am I in the ballpark or am I paying too much? And then, you can choose your options from there.
Yeah. And if you're telling me there's a 50% chance you can save me a couple $1,000 on my premium, I'm gonna schedule a call with one of the agents and submit my information to see what you guys can do.
Yeah,
so it's definitely worth it to try out. And we'll link it down in the description below so you can click on it and fill it out. I know a lot of people, it seems like, and maybe I'm just wrong about this, but it seems like a lot of people at the new year, like renewal dates and effective dates, are there more typically companies that renew their insurance in the first half of the year?
Yeah, I mean, for trucking, it's a little different because it all really depends on when you got your authority started.
Oh, yeah.
But generally speaking, we see a lot of people renew their insurance between December and February.
Okay.
So probably when they started their trucking company, they were like either, hey, it's towards the end of the new year, I'm going to go out on my own, start the next year, or it's, right at January 1, I'm going from a lease driver. Now I'm going to go get my own authority. So over 20 years that can change.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
we do see a big uptick.
Cool. Well, we'll go ahead and link that in the description. Click down below, or you can just go to bulkinsurancegroup.com if you do not have a BulkLoads account. If you do have a BulkLoads account, simply click on the insurance tab and it'll take you there. You can do that on the app, mobile version, or desktop website. Speaking of, guys, we do have some pushes that you may have seen on BulkLoads, just some color changes and stuff. We'll have more to come, but we definitely want to hear you guys' feedback. So if you have any feedback over the changes that we're pushing, let us know. Support at BulkLoads.com. Or you can always call our support team and let them know as well. But we got some exciting new features coming out and everything to look forward to. I think 2025 is going to be a huge year. But with that being said, I also want to mention that we do have a prayer line here at BulkLoads. It's all confidential, but if you have a prayer request and you want somebody to pray over you, we'd love to just send it to prayer@bulkloads.com. We have a team that receives those requests and we pray over them. So we don't post them or share with anybody outside of this office, but we just want to let you know that we do that and we enjoy doing that. So Larry, if you wouldn't mind, would you pray?
Yeah, let's do it. Dear Lord, we just come before you, God, and we just we thank you for another year, Lord. We just thank you that your son Jesus came to this earth and died for our sins, Lord, and that we get to have access to you, God. We thank you for these companies and these listeners, God, and their companies. Lord, we pray that 2025 God would be a year of blessing, Lord, and a year of struggle and challenge, God, but of perseverance, Lord. And so we just submit all of our business units to you, God. We submit all of our motor carriers to you, God, our clients that we do business with, God. We just, everything is yours, God. And so we just submit it to you, Lord. And we just pray that 2025 would be a great year. So in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. As always, guys, if you can, just subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you never miss an update or a video that comes out. We have a lot coming in this new year. And also, if you can just share this episode with one person, we'd be really grateful for you. So thank you, and God bless.
Thanks.